Hello, my name is Donna Marie, health coach, yogi, and death doula. I'm also the host of the Best Life of Wellbeing podcast, designed to encourage you to focus on your overall well being by stepping out of your comfort zone and stepping into embracing your whole life in order to live fully and die peacefully. As we wrap up the month of May, tune in to this amazing interview with Osborne Celestine, aka The Light. Osborne is also the owner of the Community Light Foundation, and his COVID-19 story of being a cancer survivor, of starting his foundation, and giving back so much in his community is amazing. Please enjoy. Welcome, Osborne Celestine, aka The Light. Welcome to the Best Life of Wellbeing. And so, one of the reasons I do this podcast is because I want to highlight stories of people who are living their best life of well-being. And so not just living your best life, but your best life of well-being, which encompasses the whole person. It's a holistic view of who you are and how you're living and how you overcome obstacles and continue to live being true to yourself. And so you are one of those people. So welcome to the podcast.
Well, I am so glad to be here, Donna. This is an honor and a privilege to be on your podcast.
I'm so glad you're here. I am looking forward to hearing a lot about your journey, specifically your COVID journey. But we can talk a bit more since you are my cousin and I know you personally. I can ask you questions about life prior to that COVID journey. And so before we continue on, can you just introduce yourself to the audience? Who are you, Osborne Celestine?
I am the light. I chose to call myself the light after going through some training with my cousin, doing some personal development. And during that time, was the question was asked, who are you and who do you choose to be? And coming through COVID, I realized that I wanted to be a light in this world because darkness only exists when we choose not to shine our light. So when you choose to shine your light, darkness will recede. So if we all shine our light, darkness moves farther and farther out. So the darkness is only the absence of light. So choose to be a light and choose to shine your light. So that's who I am. That's who I am now. Who I was before was just a person, good-hearted person, trying to make his way to retirement, trying to be in good health. Had a bout with cancer, uh, got over that. Um, did a lot of training, a lot of running, a lot of riding, a lot of swimming. Wanted to be a triathlete. I am a triathlete. Wanted to do an Ironman. I haven't made it to the full Ironman. I've done 3 halves. And so I'm recovering from a knee injury now. But living in that world of Ironman, you spend a lot of time swimming, running, and you might not necessarily be involved in your community. You're just in that bubble of training and trying to perfect your craft. So also at the time, I was also working offshore, which I'd go to work for 2 weeks at a time. I'd be on a drilling rig in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, a very isolating environment. So I was in that bubble. Then when I came home, I was in the bubble of swimming, running, and riding. When COVID, I retired in 2019, Christmas Day. COVID hit in March of 2020. I had a full calendar of events to do, and it just hurt me to my heart. I got very angry because I couldn't go race my bike, couldn't go swim. And going through that, I realized, that I really had to look at life a little differently because I was upset because I couldn't go race my bike. People were still riding their bikes. They just couldn't race in groups. And I didn't lose any income. I didn't lose any relatives. I didn't lose a business. I was virtually unaffected by COVID and I was still angry. And so through that transformation of doing some personal development and really look at myself, that's when I decided I wanted to be a light in this world and try to shine my light whenever I could, shine my light always. Um, and so that's what I got that's what I got coming out of COVID was, you know, take what you have, do what you can with what you have to be a positive influence on the people around you, on yourself and the people around you. And that's what being a light is to me.
So you not only changed your perspective about, you know, the way you saw life, the way you were going to then live life, and the way you saw other people in life, um, you decided to start a business. And can you tell me a bit about your nonprofit business, why you started it? And I think it's still connected to your COVID story, but why you started it. And please share what your mission and your purpose is.
So I'm a I'm a bicycle rider at heart. I love cycling. I like to swim, I like to run, but I love to cycle. I have a lot of friends who cycle. And I wanted to recognize the 100th anniversary of the Black Wall Street Massacre. And I was a part of the team that put the 100th anniversary bike ride on. And coming out of that, I realized that I really enjoyed putting on events. And I decided that I would put on a bike ride to remember the race massacre and also to feed the homeless, to feed people that work with who live with food insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
And so that became my mission was helping in the space with food insecurities. I partnered with a group called the Iron Gate Food Pantry. They've been cooking breakfast and passing out meals for 40 years. Also, I partnered with with the Salvation Army, who has been doing it over 100 years in that space. And the new kids on the block is a group called Food on the Move. And Food on the Move actually go into areas that are food deserts. They don't have a grocery store in the neighborhood. And they set up and they pass out fresh produce, fresh fruits and vegetables. And they also have partners who bring services to those neighborhoods. If you need some help filling out your Medicare application or something for Social Security, or you're trying to get some type of training. So it's like a fair with passing out food and trying to help people in need. And so we have, I developed a ride. In fact, the ride's coming up June the 4th. It's called Ride to Remember Black Wall Street. And the proceeds from that event will go to Food on the Move, the Salvation Army, and the Iron Gate Food Pantry. So there was a lot of times when I rode by people who were suffering from food insecurities, homeless people and whatnot, on my bicycle. And I saw them, but I really didn't see them.
Yeah.
I lived in Tulsa, but I really wasn't involved in Tulsa. And so the spring of 2021, I attended a couple of projects. It was called Cycling the Gap. And the GAP stands for Greenwood, Orchard, and Pine. It's the same, that's the same for Gap Band. Gap Band's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And their name came from Greenwood, Orchard, and Pine, which is the heart of Black Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
But during that program of Cycling the Gap, we went to a different event 3 Saturdays in a row, and they talked about the historical significance of that area. And also, I found this whole thing about all these artists who lives in Tulsa. They have these artists complex that was just something that I had never seen before. I was here living, but it was so many things I didn't see. And so there was an awakening in me during this process. I met a lot of young people who had nonprofits, who had for-profit businesses, And their whole thing was build community, build community. There was a young lady in New Orleans that I spent some time with she was a yoga instructor, and all she talked about was building a community. And so this idea of building a community in the light, I wanted to be a light. That's how the Community Light Foundation came about. The light in my soul merged with the battle cry of build community in my heart, and we formed the Community Light Foundation.
When we come together as a community, when we just have conversation with one another, when we are willing to listen, to acknowledge each other's presence and to be there, it makes a big difference in the way we love, the way we allow our light to shine, the way we give others permission to let their light shine. It creates a ripple effect, and it's a positive effect. And we certainly need more of that in the world. So thank you for the work that you do. So you do your bike rides, but you do more. I think you mentor young children. Am I correct? And what are you mentoring them on?
So I had the opportunity to meet these incredible people doing that first Black Wall Street 100 biking event as partners, and it was a group called Bike Club. It was some guys who got together and wanted to give bikes away to kids, and so over 7 years, the organization has given away about 16,000 bicycles.
Wow.
And they're also in the Tulsa public school systems with after school programs who teach kids bike safety, teach kids how to ride, and teach them bike safety. In fact, for our closeout event this year, we took 350 elementary school kids for a 7-mile bike ride in downtown Tulsa. It was a phenomenal event. But through working with those guys and seeing how much they had built in a matter of 7 years, I wanted to learn from them. I partnered with them. I volunteer with them. I work with them any chance I get to learn how they maintain such a high level of business in a nonprofit. Your business only grows if you're doing things right, you know. And so I try to spend as much time modeling and listening as I can. But they're very passionate about getting kids on bikes. They're passionate about getting minorities on bikes and just trying to increase the diversity in cycling, whether it be road cycling, cyclocross, mountain biking, gravel. We have, as Black people, as people of color, there's quite a few of us in road cycling, but the other disciplines have, mountain biking or gravel or BMX, cyclocross, very few. And their goal is to, bring that diversity to all areas of cycling.
I want to back up a bit. We talked about you going to personal development training, and you talked about when you retired in 2019. But I want to go back before 2019 a bit and talk about something that I have heard you say was life changing, and I want to. First of all, I'm going to highlight through this process how you were the light before you realized you were the light, or or before you changed your name. But South Africa, just to get to the point, is I want to talk about the South Africa trip you went on in 2018, correct?
Correct. November 2018.
November. You spent Thanksgiving in Cape Town, South Africa. But prior to that trip, you got some really disturbing news, and you were not you were considering canceling that trip. And so let's talk about the disturbing news you received and what you did about taking your health in your own hands and refusing to allow someone else to dictate what you knew was right for you. And so,
Okay.
yes, you go ahead.
Okay. So let's back up 1 year before that.
All right.
My cousin put out a trip for the family to go to South Africa in 2017, and no one signed up for it. So in 2018, she posts on Facebook that, look, I'm going to South Africa, even if I have to go by myself. And me loving my cousin, so I said, hey, cuz, I'll go with you. You don't have to go by yourself. I'll go with you. So, and I said,
It was like I was
it didn't
threatening
matter where we
somebody.
went. I said, just plan the trip. I'll show up and go. And I left it at that. So life's going on, and I get a high PSA from my annual physical. It's been high 2 years in a row. PSA is a blood test for cancer cells in your prostate. And my primary care physician suggested that I see a urologist and have a biopsy done. So I had a biopsy done, and this was in early November, around November the 5th or 6th or somewhere in there. And so we had the biopsy done, and they take 12 samples. And a prostate biopsy is the most invasive thing. They took 12 samples, and 10 of them was positive for cancer. And so I got the news on November 12th, and I was scheduled to meet you in New Orleans on November 14th for your niece's wedding. So I talked to my doctor, and he was telling me I was young, I was strong, my cancer was slow growing, and he told me because I was thinking about canceling the trip, and I said, well, I really got to think about it. I said, well, if I have cancer, I think I need to go on this trip because I might not be able to go on a trip again. So I decided to go. I cried a lot on the plane, and everything I watched on it is a long flight. The first leg of the flight was 12 hours, and I probably cried 8 of them. And then when we eventually got to South Africa, when I stepped off the plane, all the tears stayed on the plane. We had a really fabulous time. It was very empowering, just being out, enjoying life, and exploring, and being with you and LaDonna Moe was such a fun traveling companions because we didn't allow ourselves to get too stressed about anything. It was just a really great trip. And it was just what I needed to take my mind off of the challenges that were coming ahead.
Right.
And also talking to you about, more holistic things, because at that point I wasn't a holistic person. I was and I wasn't. Um, and so it gave me a chance to kind of reset. And also, I had friends who had told me that if you ever get prostate cancer, the first thing they're going to tell you is they're going to cut out the prostate. And they said they was going to cut out black men's prostates.
Yeah.
And I said that I really didn't believe them. I'm like, nah, it's just somebody just making it up. But I'm also a listener of public radio. And I remember a story about a musician and his wife, and he had prostate cancer. They wanted to cut out his prostate, and they wanted to sell him a penis pump, and they wanted to do all this mechanical stuff, and she was having no parts of it. And they found alternative treatments, and he was healed, and he still had his prostate, and he had all his original equipment. So I knew in the back of my mind, I knew this was possible.
Right.
I really didn't know how. So when I got home, I went, we had talked, and you told me about the Monday night health call. And so I started doing that. And I went for my follow up. And the first thing that the doctor asked me when I walked in, he said, so you've been worried the whole time? And I was like, no, I've been on vacation. And that 2 weeks of being away from the situation it gave me a chance to reset. It gave me a chance to not be afraid of what I had to face.
Yeah.
And we sit down and we started talking. And I had the lady I was dating at the time, and my son was with me, and he kept talking about the 5 options. He had 5 options on the table, but it seemed like he was really pushing number 3, the cyber knife, 3D pinpoint radiation. And so after a while, I said, "So are you, just really pushing this 3D cyber knife?" I said, "That seems like the choice you're leaning to." He said, "You don't have any choices. We're just going to cut that thing out." And well, I said, "Surgery will never be my first option." And he said, "You don't have any options." I said, "I'm going to check out my other options. And if I don't find anything, I'll come back and you can cut out everything." But surgery will never be my first option. And then he went to say something else. And I asked him, I said, "I really need to discuss this with my team." So I asked him to leave his office. And he didn't, take too kindly to that, but he did leave and he gave us some time. And then we packed up and left. And I started a journey looking for a holistic method. I ended up at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, which was not a holistic method, but somebody had suggested I go there. And I was thinking about using radiation there, but my soul just would not let me do it. I went in, I signed the papers, and I'm waiting, and they were supposed to call me, and they didn't call me, and I'm really restless. And a friend told me about a naturopath in Tulsa that I should go see. And I went to see this person, and we talked. And that moment, I knew I was where I needed to be. The technology he had was solid, and I knew that I needed to be there in that space. And that's when the journey started. He took me to a point to where he could no longer guide me. And I found another person that took me across the finish line. And it was a remarkable journey. I learned so much about diet, food, about, keeping your body in balance, that 90% of the stuff that we face, if we just keep our bodies in balance, it will take care of itself. But our diet, the American diet, is not a diet for the health of the country. It's for the wealth of the country. It's for the wealth of the few.
Right.
And the whole thing is, our food makes us sick. We eat a lot of it. They make a lot of money. We go to the doctors. They treat us. They treat our symptoms. They don't treat the root cause, and they make a lot of money. And the whole system is designed on you being sick, not die, just stay, and not healthy, just stay alive just enough to keep using our products for your entire life. And that's a sad situation. But just getting back to clean eating, drinking water, staying away from processed food will do so much to restore your health that it's just unbelievable to think that life can be that simple.
Yeah, one of the first things you said, Osborne, before the clean eating, before the hydration, is self-advocacy. That
Yes,
doctor said to you, "I'm going to schedule your appointment," and also told you you had no other option.
exactly.
And so what you chose to do in that moment was to stand up for yourself, to tap into your inner coach, to the spirit that lives within you, that's guiding all of us. It lives within each and every one of us. It guides us. It speaks to us. And in some cases, the way we know how we're being guided is through the peace that we feel when we're in the right place. And all of us need to be standing up for ourselves more. Doctors don't know all the answers, and I'm not saying we shouldn't trust doctors or doctors are not important. Again, advocacy is the most important thing in every aspect of our lives. That's a part of well-being. So I want to applaud you first and foremost for just standing up for yourself. Secondly, having a team. You had people there with you And then from that point, being guided to allowing yourself to be guided. You went to one place, you talked to them, you went somewhere else, and then someone said, try this. And you did. So you created the options by following the path. And so I, again, want to applaud you just for being open. When we are diagnosed with anything that is life threatening, we do whatever we need to do. Either we tap in or we operate in fear, and it makes it very hard to tap in. So I'm glad that you went on that vacation, you were able to reset and then think more clearly without the fear being the prominent guide or processing your thoughts.
Fear, when you're afraid, you don't make good decisions. When you're afraid, whatever the doctor says, you just like, lift this from me, and that 2 weeks, the vacation and that time between appointments gave me that opportunity to, just relax and says that I'm going to be fine. I just have to figure out how to do this. I know people have done it, bought some books. I think you sent me Crazy Sexy Diet, and followed Chris and then found the other Chris and read their books, and then read Body and Balance by Dr. Bernard, and just saw this pattern. And then working with, being on the call with Dr. Ruby and Dr. Ted, knowing that it's out there. You just have to be willing to see it. Right. And you have to be willing to believe it.
So you changed your diet from drinking coffee with your sugar, to giving up meat and giving up your sweet breakfast. You love coffee and a pastry or coffee concoction coffee.
My favorite was the Frappuccino, chocolate chip Frappuccino, and those things were like 700 calories. That's a whole meal. And at that time, I was right at 235 to 240 on my weight. And within 3 months of going plant-based and sugar-free, I was down to 195 or even down to 190 at one time. So all the working out and all the cycling and running I've been doing over the years, trying to get down to 215 or 210, me changing my diet, I became, within 3 months, I was at that weight, and I've been maintaining it ever since, just by taking out the junk out of my diet. So my choice, I'm not a moderate kind of person. Some people can eat a moderate amount. I'm either open or I'm closed. Okay. So I can't walk the fence. So if I was going to do this for my health, I had to go all in. So I went, cut out meat, cut out sugar, cut out dairy. I cut out the whole thing. I was eating now to feed my body, to strengthen my body, to fuel my body, not just to eat for consumption, and I've learned how to cook things that satisfy me. And I'm not on a diet. It's a lifestyle change. I changed my life. I changed the way I look at things. I changed the way I relate to things. And it's just been a whole transformation in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I had I was motivated because I like living, and I looked at cancer as God's way of telling me that I need to change my path. And so I changed my path. I didn't look at it as a death sentence. I looked at it as, how do I figure this out? What changes do I need to make? And I embraced that, and I was good with that. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. It turns out that my cancer started in my testicles, moved to my prostate, and I also had it in my kidneys. Oh, wow. So by going the method I went, I am cancer free now without surgery. It was That was such a blessing. That was a tremendous learning experience and opportunity to let you know that life is so much bigger than we know. There's so much out there. And just because you have never heard of it doesn't mean it does not work. It means that you just hadn't heard of it. And your doctor may not have heard of it. And his friend may not have heard of it. And that's how new things come to market. You know, somebody creates something that doesn't work. That can't be done until somebody does it. And all of a sudden, wow. But people tend to think if they don't know about it, it's not so. That makes their world very small.
Yeah. Yeah. That goes back to that community, huh?
Yeah.
If you're not reaching out, learning.
But being open to life,
Yeah.
you know, that's a mentality to be willing to try different things. And that's one of the great things about you. You know, you're always looking for something new to try, to, you know, to go and look and try and see, you know, and so you're always stretching and growing. And so this last couple of years have been a lot of growth for me. I got so far out of my comfort zone, but each time, you know, I walked through the darkness, came out on the other side, and then I'm pushing for the boundaries. You know, it's just so, life is just really exciting right now,
And I'm
because I'm
really
growing.
proud of you because you're
Thank
what?
you. Because I'm growing.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm proud of you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What do you believe your legacy is, and are you actually being deliberate and intentional about creating that?
I haven't thought a lot about legacy. I'm just trying to do what I can with what I have while I'm here. And that's going to take care of itself from there. The one thing I'd like to leave everybody is that you can always be better tomorrow than you were today. And you can do what you can with what you have. You know, uh, if you leave with that message, um, it's all about how you look at your life. You know, you can look at your cancer as something here to destroy you, or you can look at it as an opportunity for you to figure out how to level up and get through it. Everything that's put in your way, it can be there to destroy you, or it can be there to make you bigger than you were yesterday, to make you better than you were yesterday. If I can leave that message, I think I've done a good job.
That's really wonderful that your intention is to live in the moment and to do the best that you can in each moment with what you have. And rather than seeing problems, you look for solutions.
Exactly.
And I love that. Talk a bit about prostate health and prevention.
So one of the biggest things that we get wrong in this country is we do not drink enough water. Okay, you know, the body imbalance, the pH of water is 7. If you lower than 7, you get more acidic. If you're higher than 7, you get more alkaline. But the body works better when it's in balance. But for years and years, I was always dehydrated. I got used to being dehydrated. So when you're not drinking enough water, it's putting strains on your kidneys, your liver, your organs, on your prostate. When you're eating too much sugar, that puts your body in a acidic state. When you're doing these things to your body, you're not getting the nutrients from green leafy vegetables that we should be eating, you know, because we've been eating fries and chips, and you know it's been 3 weeks or 6 months since we had any green leafy vegetables. And you're not drinking water, so your organs are under stress. So everybody has cancer cells, but at some point, those cells become more active when they're under stress and they start growing. And if you don't get your body back in balance, if you do get your body back in balance, all that stuff will slow down and most likely it'll go back to a static state. But we drive ourselves so hard that we just keep denying our bodies what it needs to heal itself, you know. And that's the best thing you can do for your body is to drink plenty of water, reduce your sugar, and eat some green veggies.
I want to close out by just saying, just share a bit about this Ride to Remember that you are hosting on June 4th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, what is this Ride to Remember? How long is this race? And how do people sign up for this? And just what do people need to know if they're in the Tulsa area or interested in traveling? And what would they be getting into?
So, Ride to Remember is Ride to Remember Black Wall Street. This is the 101st anniversary. So we have 4 different routes, 15-mile route, 35, 50, and a 70-mile route. All the routes start from downtown Tulsa, just a couple of blocks from Black Wall Street, and they go throughout the countryside. It highlights the beautiful scenery and the different landscape of Tulsa, and they all come back up Black Wall Street and back to the start point. One of the big things that we're having this year is we have a mentorship group from Atlanta called CREATE. It's the Center for Recreation, Arts, Education, Technology, and Enterprise. They're bringing 42 people, mentors, and children from age of 8 to 18 to participate in the ride. We have them set up. They're going to stay at the University of Tulsa. They're going to go to, they're going to get a tour of the university. They're going to go to the USA BMX headquarters in Tulsa. They're going to go to the Greenwood Rising Black Wall Street Museum in Tulsa. They're going to do the ride. They're going to go to the Fulton Street Coffee Shop, which is a Black-owned bookstore that also carries all the authors of Black authors in that bookstore. And they're going to finish their trip up with a swim at the Hudson YMCA, and then they're going to head back to Atlanta. Nice. Our first year in Tulsa, we received our first Thanksgiving from the Salvation Army that was 6 blocks from our house. And we're actually partnered with that group this year to do this ride. And they're like a block from the start line. So nice. It's something that's come full circle. So I'm really proud of it. And we're just building that foundation to have something that Tulsa will be proud of, Oklahoma will be proud of, and hopefully the nation will be proud of it in a couple of years. So congratulations. That's awesome work. I want to talk now about the jersey you have. And I went and ran away for a second and got the jersey I purchased last year. 100 years. Wait, let's get it in there. 100 years of silence.
Yes. Yeah, this is the back of the jersey. And I'm just going to put it on. I don't know how your jersey looks this year, but I'm sure it's amazing because this one's amazing. And I like that it has a zipper in the front. So I really love this. It's
you like you're ready for a cycling trip.
Yeah, I love the colors. I love everything about this jersey. And so how does your 2022 jersey look? Describe it a bit. If you don't have one to play.
I have. This is going to be this year's medal.
Oh, I love it. I love the t-shirt. I love it. Look at the community light.
And these are all our sponsors on the back.
Awesome.
These are for the first 100 riders got a free T-shirt, and
Oh,
this
nice.
is my first time having a community light on a garment.
Yes, having your logo on anything. This is your first
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Congratulations. I love
This
it.
is pretty exciting.
And how long is this ride to remember? And
How
are there
long?
levels? Yeah. What's the
The
distance?
longest distance is 75 miles.
Okay.
So the shortest distance is 15. We got a 35, 50, and 75.
I wish I could be there. But this is happening Saturday, June 4th, starting at what time?
7 a.m.
All right. I wish you a very successful event. This is the first event for you as the Community Light sponsor. And so, again, I wish you much success. I wish the Community Light much success. I wish my cousin Osborne the Light all the success as well. And I'm looking forward to hearing about additional events. I love seeing all of your posts on Facebook, from your interviews to you being interviewed. You've been interviewed a whole lot lately, and so you're getting lots of media attention. And again, I just wish you all the best. I think the work you're doing is meaningful and something you believe is your purpose-driven work. I appreciate all the tips and all the information that you've shared with us today. And again, I wish you much success. Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Very proud of you.